That's a good one.
That was good something.
Okay, well, guys, how are we gonna start?
We've already started. Don't I think
No, that's my recording is start. Welcome to Thoroughly Wealthy Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. It's always good to have you. Welcome from Toronto, Milan. Welcome from Miami, Marko. That's great. It's good to be here with you. So let's open and share our conversation about things that matter.
Let's do it.
What does it mean to be thoroughly wealthy? What's your kind of like thinking you see? So I can share from my experience with you guys. It's what matters in life, but let's chat about general things. What people think that it means to be wealthy, like thoroughly wealthy. You see, well, what most people think. Like, where's the focus, primary focus when it comes to wealth, money, right?
Money's number one for everybody.
Yeah. Where's the problem with money when you start thinking about money? See, there are other things that matter.
Well, people will often kind of chime in and say, well, money doesn't buy happiness, right? That's one of the first places people go is money doesn't buy happiness, or that wealthy people are unhappy.
Right. Well, money buys things that make you happy.
Right.
You know, that's but that's the bottom line.
Okay, now where does the whole money doesn't buy happiness thing come from, though? Why are people trying to say that money doesn't buy you happiness?
Well, look, when you look through the popular culture, you can see lots of examples of people with lots of money that are not happy. Take, for example, Simpsons. There's Mr. Burns, right? Like he's this wealthy guy, but he does not appear healthy at all. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to the times, let's say, of Charles Dickens. Now as we're going through the Christmas season, there's the Scrooge, right? Mm-hmm. Like Scrooge is a wealthy guy that does not appear healthy until something happens in his life. So when you boil down what it means to be healthy, it's not just money. Like money is an extremely important part. You need money. You don't know how much you need money until you don't have it.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's the bottom line. So you can hear often from lots of wealthy people saying, well, money doesn't buy happiness, like money doesn't even matter that much. No, it matters when you don't have it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It doesn't matter when you have it. Right. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So that there is kind of, for some people at least, depending on a person's means, an upper limit to how much they need to lead a very happy life.
That's right.
Depending on the person, right? Yeah. Some people that might be a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Other people that might be little to nothing. But the problem is that if it's close to little or nothing, you start struggling and then you're not happy anymore.
Exactly. There were lots of studies done, in particular in Europe, Western parts of Western Europe, how much money is required for a person to feel happy, mm-hmm. right? And typically, it's in a range of upper, kind of like mid-tier, middle class.
Right. So upper middle class living is usually that's about as much as you would need to lead a happy life.
Beyond that,
yeah.
A person doesn't get more happy or happier with more money that they have.
Right.
Like essentially when they reach a certain point, that's where the amount, that's where happiness kind of like stops. Mm. So, okay, let's boil it down, what it means to be thoroughly wealthy, if it's not just money.
Well, from what I'm hearing, but it's only a tool. Money, tool. You can have a lot of money, but you might not be wealthy.
So for me, the primary thing for true wealth, to be wealthy, is number one, having time, lots of time on your hands,
an agency to choose how that time is spent.
Exactly, that's very well put. Agency to choose how that time is spent. After that, relationships. Mm-hmm. So you gotta have good, solid relationships. Be it within the family, be it with friends, colleagues, whatever it is, you gotta have relationships to spend the time with. Then comes the health. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are, if you're not healthy, you're gonna be struggling, right? So health, and then comes money to support all that stuff, right? So I would say time, relationships, health, and money, right? Time is everything.
Yeah.
In reality. And it's not how much hours you lived or days,
yeah,
but the quality of that time that you spend. So experiences are more important than actually the length of life. When it comes to relationships, gotta have those solid, good relationships when you can where you can open up and be completely transparent with the friends, if it's friends, with the family.
And I suppose that's an underlying thing for characters that are wealthy in popular culture, popular media, is that the one underlying factor is not that they're rich that makes them unhappy. It's that they're lonely that makes them unhappy. Both Scrooge and Mr. Burns are lonely characters. And they're busy.
And with broken relationships.
And with no time. So they have a lot of money, but no time and no relationships.
Yeah. And often you see the health aspect comes with that as well. Both characters in a certain way are shown as unhealthy. Unhealthy in complexion, unhealthy in behavior, you see. So they're shown as unhealthy. So the health is the key, actually, to be happy. If you have ailments, if you're hurting all over your body, if you're hurting in your head, you cannot be truly happy, which turns to be thoroughly wealthy. You cannot be thoroughly wealthy. And then the last but not the least, over-encompassing aspect is money. You gotta have lots of money
to support those,
or a fair amount of money, if you will, to support your lifestyle where you have tons of free time. To spend it however you choose you want to spend it. Lots of time to build the relationships, because if you don't have time, you cannot build the relationships. You need time to work on your health. And of course, you need time for money. But there's a big mistake where people talk about, time. Time is money. The time is not money. Money can help you get the time, but time is not money.
And a lot of people sell their time for money.
That's right. So the idea of being thoroughly wealthy is not selling your time for money. It's selling your knowledge for money.
Your skill.
Your skill. Because you see, even if you look in generally in society, certain people sell their time for significantly higher price than other people because they have a very specific knowledge, and that knowledge is big in their field, you see. So a generalist, be it a physician, a doctor, versus a specialist. Specialist makes more money than a GP. Typically a lawyer may make more money, especially one that's specialized in certain fields. Will make more money than a clerk. Somewhere else, for a simple reason that he has a specialized knowledge, you'll see, he or she. So that person is selling their knowledge. Yes, it's converted into time, but the price tag of $300, $400, $500 an hour versus somebody who's making $20, $30, $40 an hour, you see, it does not come because of, hey, you know what, this guy's time is worth more money. No, this person has significantly greater knowledge. And that's the knowledge that converts into the dollar amount, you see.
So could it be even said that rarity of knowledge makes your time more valuable?
The more specialized you are. Because my philosophy in life is nobody never needs everything. But there is always somebody that needs something, you see. So the point is about that something. And when you're an expert in something, when you have a very specific knowledge in something, whatever that is, you see, you're going to be sought after. Because that something is what somebody somewhere is going to need in a particular moment. So they're not going to be looking for, let's put it, jack of all trades. When they need somebody specific to deal with a specific issue. See, they're going to be looking for an expert in a specific issue. So remember that. It's always somebody always needs something, but nobody ever needs everything.
But one way or another, that something is never time.
It's never time.
It's never time.
It's about knowledge.
It's about the knowledge.
It's about knowledge, and that's what what time is used for.
Yeah.
Time is used for gaining knowledge, for building relationships, for developing your philosophy, for creating life experiences, for the travel. That's what makes life beautiful, you see. It's about having time to enjoy the relationships, to enjoy the health, to enjoy the money.
Right.
You see. But any of those, if you don't have time, suffers.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it.
Well, I mean, you look at families, you look at businesses with less time devoted to them, you can't really ever develop anything truly meaningful, right? Without enough time.
In the popular culture, in movies in particular,
Yeah. That's recurring. Yeah.
it's a recurring theme. Absentee father who's busy with his work, his career. We just went through the Christmas season here now.
Yeah.
Watching, let's say, Elf.
Elf, yeah.
Elf. Yeah. It's a great example. Walter Hobbs. Yeah.
Walter Hobbs, absentee father. You see, only when Elf comes into the picture, that's when they start spending more time together, making decisions and choosing things that truly matter and abandoning things that don't matter, that make a person busy, maybe create great income, but that don't matter in the end.
Yeah.
So time allows you to enjoy your life.
Right.
And enjoy with people that matter.
Yeah.
And hopefully enjoy the whole.
Well, you know what? You have time and money together, and that creates kind of the ultimate combo of freedom. Both time and money can generate some pretty meaningful experiences and relationships, right?
And, when it comes to relationships, goes both ways in a sense, like when you have time, when there's money, if you don't have good relationships, well, the life is not as good. And lots of people don't have good relationships. It's intergenerational. So father and son, mother and daughter, or whatever the relationship is there, or friendly relationships, collegial relationships, you see. So developing a group of people, close group of people that you're going to develop those relationships with, where you can completely open up, where you can share your problems, issues, challenges, and where that person is going to listen to you without judging you in any shape or form. Because that's the key, you see.
Yeah.
The key of a good relationship is not being judged.
Right.
Yeah.
And the challenge with not judging is because each one of us, of any age, with certain standards in our mind, you see. And we like to see the whole world through the standards that we set in our mind, you see. Whether we set it or society or however it came up through upbringing or whatever it is. And then we judge other people's behavior in accordance with our own standard.
Right.
And we call our own standard objective.
Right.
And other people, their behavior, if it does not fit into our standard, is repulsive, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the key in good relationship is not to be judgmental.
Yeah.
And to remove that, my opinion is the only opinion that's objective, understanding that your opinion, your standards are subjective, you see, and where you can embrace another person with a different perspective and have that more of a common appreciation of each other regardless of the differences.
Yeah.
You see. Now, when we talk about differences, we're not talking about completely polar opposites in differences, because you cannot have good relationship with people who think very different from you.
Yeah.
You cannot. People say the opposites attract. Yeah, sure, opposites in certain elements in behavior and whatnot. But when it comes to values, when it comes to standards, your perspectives need to be pretty close and pretty aligned in order to understand each other.
Or at least adaptable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that adaptability in a relationship is super, super important. That allows for that non-judgmental perspective.
That's right.
Right? Like if you can adapt to somebody that you love, somebody that you care about, and you try and understand their perspective, it completely broadens your view of anybody outside of that relationship even as well. Helps you navigate the world super easily. Right?
Yeah. So what do you think, guys, when it comes to time? what's the good use of time?
Good use of time.
Good use of time.
Well, you know what? I mean, I feel like you first have to decide what actually matters to you. And then you have to spend your time with those things.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's developing skills, whether it's building a business, making money, spending time with family, traveling, telling stories, trying new things, whatever it is. There's so many things to do when you have a lot of free time, if you know how to use that time.
Yeah.
But it's important to use it to make the most of it.
Well, I think probably the easiest way to characterize spending time wisely, at least for me, is to place a focus on the other facets, but not in a way just to kind of in vain, placing importance on each one. You can't just, I'm going to make money, right? Well, I can go anywhere to make money. Yeah. But if I go to McDonald's and apply for a job there, and let's say I'm at the point that I am at right now, so not 15, 16-year-old, not even say even a 20-year-old, but right now, let's say having completed school, having traveled, now working with you guys, if I was to go there, I could make money, and that's great, right? And that's a good way. You could argue, hey, you're making money, so it's a good way to spend your time. But in the relative position for me in my life, one, it wouldn't fulfill me, and two, it does not match the experience that I've gained, the knowledge that I've gained. So I think it's important to if you're going to pursue money and you're spending your time to pursue money, it needs to be pursuing money that fulfills you. And then now fulfilling for different people is very different. That's kind of what I've noticed is even for myself, work that's fulfilling isn't always necessarily work that I enjoy getting into. But once I've started, it is fulfilling. Yeah. I know people, I think actually one quote that was attributed to Christopher Nolan's brother, I think, is it Jonathan Nolan? He had a quote where he's written movies, screenplays, but he expresses he doesn't like writing, but he likes having written. So it means it fulfilled him, but the work itself didn't excite him necessarily. Right. But he's happy that he did it. So it fulfilled him to have done it. Yeah. So I think it's worth noting there's a lot of people who do things and spend their time in a way that fulfills them or had fulfilled them. Yeah. But the act of it or getting into it was, let's say, tedious or difficult or wasn't something they enjoyed the whole way through, but they're happy they did it.
Exactly. Well, that's where the discipline comes from.
That's where discipline comes from, is doing something that you know will have a great outcome, but isn't something you enjoy going through. I know, individuals like Joe Rogan talk about it with cold exposure. A lot of proponents of cold exposure often talk about it sucks all the way through until the very end, and then it's amazing. You feel so good,
and the feeling is great when you get out.
It's right.
But it's the primary benefit is right. But
yes, it's a lasting
learning from cold.
But it's a lasting fulfillment that lasts with you throughout the day, right? Or even couple days if you did it.
Oh, you're gonna want to do it again,
and you're gonna want to do it again because of that lasting benefit.
So at least know you're gonna feel good if you do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say that if you're spending your time, it doesn't have to be money or anything, but when you're catering to your health, working out is uncomfortable getting into, but it's super fulfilling after you've finished. Yeah, I know when we go rolling, sometimes you get that, your fight or flight instinct is kicking in well before you even get to the gym.
Oh,
and sometimes you're like, do I even want to go get beat up today? But once you're doing it, once you've finished, you feel so good that you're like, I'll do that again. So I think it's worth noting that relationships, sometimes even relationships where you have to have tough conversations with yourself or with other people, that's important. That's a great way to spend your time, is where there's a critical analysis of how your relationship works, the things that you enjoy, how you lead your life. It's good to have that. But most good things come from the sense of fulfillment, and fulfillment often requires effort.
Right.
So if you're spending your time, you need to apply a lot of effort into every facet of your life that will eventually bring fulfillment. Yeah. So that's, at least for me, kind of the best way to spend your time. It is seeking fulfillment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You do have to find enjoyment.
Yeah. Of course. And that's
while you're doing it.
You can't find fulfillment in things you don't enjoy. I think that's something worth noting, is that for some people, cold exposure doesn't even bring them that fulfillment.
No, but you see, the challenge with many things that we do when it comes to applying time, let's say, for example, fitness. Okay, we touched on fitness. Is the beginning part, getting ready to go and starting. That's the hardest part. Mm-hmm. Once you're in it, things are different. Even when you don't feel like it, when you start sweating, as a runner, for me, the hardest part was actually to dress up, put my shoes on, get outside.
The running
and
itself.
start running. The running itself. Once I start running, actually, first kilometer may be hard because my blood is not saturated with oxygen, right?
Yeah.
But once it gets saturated with oxygen, I can go forever, right? Because whether I run 10 kilometers or 15 or 20 or whatever, it tends to be all the same, and it's enjoyable. And when the sweat comes pouring out of you, it's enjoyable as much as it sounds terrible. Like I ran in plus 30 or minus 30. It's the same thing, like you get outside, you run in minus 30.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah.
But once you get used to it, it's cool. But the first, let's say 200 meters, until the body warms up, because you always underdress when you run because you don't want to be overly sweaty. Especially when it's cold. You start running until you warm up.
Say volshazirli, you don't regret running in minus 30 last year or whatever now.
No. I don't get my
Now, no, I don't think anybody would win
exactly
and run when it's minus 30.
You see, when it comes to time, I define it this way, like how to spend time. Not define it, but this is the way I look at it. Life is yours to discover. That's how I look at it. Life is yours to discover in every aspect, right? So the worst way of discovering it is sitting in front of TV and watching shows. Although that's fun too. I love good shows. I love good movies and stuff like that. But as long as that's not the only thing that you do, right? And I love that in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 2, actually, there's a very interesting verse. It says, it's God's privilege to conceal things and the king's privilege to discover them, you see. And when I look at that, what do you want to be in your life, right? You want to be the king or a pauper, in a sense. If you want to be king, you got to discover things that God concealed.
Right.
You see, and that's the way I approach it. I'm not looking at from this verse into kind of like traditional monarchy or whatever system. No, each monarchy stays in our own domain, if you will.
Right. What we say makes king that. At least by modern.
Well, I would go back to the same thing that we started conversation. So somebody who has lots of time at their disposal to do as he or she chooses to do with it. Somebody who has money, I'm just going to be skipping, right? Like somebody who has money to do, again, same thing, whatever they want at their disposal at their own time. Somebody who can provide for their own health, and somebody who can treat those who are around him, who are part of his or her relationships, treating them in a way to enhance those relationships and whatnot. Yeah. So for me, in today's, like when you look who's a king, I wouldn't say, oh, business person is a king or a politician is a king. No, a person who can command his or her life from the time perspective, from the money perspective, from the relationships perspective, and from the health perspective. That person is a king in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I suppose historically that's always been your monarchy, is they've had agency over their own time first and foremost.
That's right. Yeah. So for a king, if he can speak this way, queen, call it whatever you want, depending on a person's gender, it's a king's privilege to have some sort of understanding of how things operate. You see, that's why I say, God hides him to reveal what God has concealed. Right? It's
God is.
because otherwise, if you don't try to figure out things that God's concealed, life ends up being two-dimensional.
Yeah.
You see. Yeah. It lacks that panache, pizzazz.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's not that. Yeah, you gotta get into the depth and discover those things, because that's what makes life interesting. And with understanding how things operate, it's very important to explain and to understand the hierarchy of the existence of how things exist.
So what would that?
So for me, when I talk about the hierarchy of existence, there is the spiritual aspect and there is the material aspect, you see. And First, there's that spiritual or metaphysical from whichever perspective. So I don't want to use religious terms in a sense.
Yeah, but I was going to ask that is like, there's obviously people that have spiritual inclination, but the whole concept of some great big white dude with a big white beard in the sky.
No, and I don't look at God from that perspective.
Yeah.
For me, you may call it cosmos, universe, call it whatever you want, you see. The Great Spirit for some, Brahman for others, Holy Spirit for others, like it's, but the way I look at it, it's all-permeating intelligence.
Yeah.
That controls many processes, how they function, or at least set the processes in motion and send the principles and rules in motion, and that's the principles and rules that actually we live by, whether we understand them or we don't. You see, but the metaphysical aspect, let's say for ancient Greeks, it was different than for ancient Jews, or different than ancient Zoroastrians, or Hindus, or Buddhists, or like native Indians, North American natives. Right, so everybody has their different definitions, like Egyptians, how they came up with the pyramids and stuff like that. We can only speculate because there is no answer. But obviously, there was a certain element of a metaphysical understanding for all these civilizations, being advanced or not advanced civilization.
There was always some inclination to discover ultra-dimensional spaces.
Ultra-dimension, the unknown aspect, right, the concealed things.
Right.
As they would call them, the occult. When I say occult, I don't mean like black magic or anything like that.
But just the
something the unknown, something that's hidden, right? So understanding that there's that metaphysical aspect, and understanding that the metaphysical aspect in terms of hierarchy has supremacy, or it's over the material aspect, and understanding that you can affect or influence the spiritual aspect or the metaphysical realm, so that metaphysical realm would affect the material realm.
Yeah.
That's the key in understanding the things. So once you understand the order, so there is spiritual, you can affect the spiritual, and spiritual has superiority, hierarchical superiority over the material things, and the spiritual, by you affecting the spiritual, you can affect the material thing. That's pretty much so how the hierarchy of things works.
If there is that hierarchy of the spiritual over the physical,
yes,
and there's that direct effect from the spiritual realm or metaphysical realm on the physical one, is there a physical effect on the spiritual? Can you work through this physical realm to affect the spiritual?
I believe so.
Yes, so what would be...
And the reason I believe so, like if you look at the ancient spiritual practices, and I'll just use an example of a person who was known as, nobody knows who he is, or whether as a person he existed, Trismegistus, Hermes Trismegistus, whom Egyptians refer to him as Thoth, or Prometheus. You see, it's the one that brought the light from gods to humanity. You see. So Trismegistus, he was thrice great. One of the three things in which he was great was theurgy, and theurgy was the study or the practice of rituals to affect the spiritual.
Do you know what he was doing?
I don't. I mean, it would be a good study, actually, to look at it. But that was one of the great things about him. Like, he was a master in theurgy, you see. So I would say that the rituals, and when you look throughout the history of different religions, spiritualities, walks, everybody has rituals, you see.
No.
So whether it's rituals kind of like in prayer, for some it's bowing down in prayer, for others it's walking in prayer, for others it's raising their hands in prayer, for yet others is just repeating certain words, the beat Om in Buddhism or Hinduism or something like that, you see. So meditative state is physical act that affects the spiritual.
That helps you kind of get in touch with the spiritual realm.
That's right.
Whether in the spiritual realm, you're playing around with the little inner workings.
With inner workings.
and then you see the effects in your world, your physical world again, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things you can do in that sense. I mean, fitness is even just a single example of that, right?
Yeah. I would say definitely even like from the fitness perspective, you see, lots of professional athletes, they would in their mind rehearse their actions.
Yeah.
And there are even some studies that show that the rehearsing in their mind physical actions is more effective or as effective as physical.
We talked about that, is that I believe there's some studies to suggest lucid dreaming, active lucid dreaming, the state of being in a dream state but awake and practicing things in there, is that muscle memory is a mental process.
Yeah.
So if you can practice your muscle memory in your mind, it is going to translate physically to your body.
That's right.
Is that developing those connections in your mind first and your spirit first matter?
Yeah.
There was even a study done with basketball players. I think they had they had two groups, or I think they had three groups. Sorry. So one group was completely practical. So it was just for a week straight, you basketball players just practice every single day. And all you do is literally just physical practice, just shooting hoops, see how many you can get in. The second group, I think, was split time between practice and just mentally thinking about it. And then I think the third group was literally just purely
Just thinking about it.
just meditate, just think about shooting the hoops, all that kind of stuff. And then I think by the end of the experiment, I think it was shown that the middle group, the one that was practice and thinking about it, like mentally visualizing the ball going in for the second half of the week, I think they came out on top with the most amount of shots in at the end of it. But one way or another, it was still more than just the practice, just the practice.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, when you think about it, like in modern medicine, there are psychosomatic illnesses.
Yeah.
You see, where physical body is affected by your thinking.
Right.
So stress causes a significant amount of sickness, like in cardiovascular and whatnot. But in medical testing, when it comes to the pharmaceuticals in particular, there is something that's well known everywhere as a placebo effect.
Yeah.
So think about it. What's a placebo effect?
It's a mental trigger into thinking that your body should react in one way when there's in fact no actual physical item to instill that change, right?
So
Your body is doing the change that it thinks
because your mind.
Because your mind, yeah.
You see, so typically the control group is the group that received placebo medication, right? So
To verify whether or not the medication is really doing it or if mind is
mind is so even in medicine, you see, which is very much when it comes to the science, very much abandons anything that's metaphysical. There's the acknowledgement that the placebo effect is real.
Yeah.
The human beings are actually changed the will of mind with belief, you see. It's faith, right? That this little pill, which could be just salt, sugar, whatever it is, like compressed, nothing, just an empty capsule, it affects actually the physiognomy. It affects, be it headache, be it arthritis, be it heart, or anything like that. It's just a matter of belief that this thing is going to help you.
Yeah.
Where people,
Or that it'll have some kind of arbitrary effect, right?
arbitrary, it could be negative, could be positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that just goes to show that even if you had an intentional goal with your thinking to affect the physical, that if placebo is kind of like a very laissez-faire kind of attitude towards whatever you're taking, just what happens, and you still get a placebo,
Right.
imagine actually putting in dedicated thought.
Exactly.
Anything. It could be anything, right? But putting dedicated thought in mind to anything can result in some kind of physical output.
So when it comes to health,
Specifically health.
specifically health,
Yeah.
working on your mind and keeping a healthy mind is the key.
Yeah.
Now, there's a circle, right? In healthy body, healthy mind.
Yeah.
But for healthy body, you need a healthy mind. So there is that kind of like these things are conditional to each other. So you got to work on both at the same time.
Right.
You say sana in corpore sa.
In mens sana corpore sano. That's right. That's what Blackens used to say, and that was a motto actually that they followed. You see, that's why athleticism used to be a big thing back then, like among the ancient
There's
tribes.
a direct correlation between health and body.
That's right.
Mind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So with a healthy mind, you can get better in touch with this metaphysical realm, right?
Exactly, and affect your body, you see. Because healthy mind is going to be able to communicate with the body in a proper way.
Yeah.
You see. And way too many people don't listen to their bodies. That's a big challenge, you see.
Yeah.
Because mind and body are two separate entities. People don't want to admit it. Like in today's science, I'd be a fool for saying that, because essentially the mind process is just neurons firing in your brain.
Right.
But neurons firing in your brain, brain is matter. It's physical, right? But your consciousness does not depend only on the neurons firing.
Right.
Consciousness is completely separate. So freeing your consciousness, your I am-ness, if I can call it that way, when you think of yourself, you're I am to you.
Right.
Right? You have your own I am. But that's separate from your body, you see, because that I am-ness that keeps going, keeps existing even without the body or whatever the issues are with the body. So there are people that have conversations in their mind. There are people that don't have conversations in their mind, right? I'm one of those that
Yes.
clearly has conversation in my mind when I think about any problem, about any challenge.
No, that's words.
I'll have it's words. I would have a conversation between the two aspects, but in the same manner, I would hear when my body, not in words, but in feelings, when my body doesn't like something, or when my body needs something, when it comes to food, when it comes to exercise.
Just have a feeling.
Have a feeling, like a very clear feeling. This is good for me. This is not good for me.
Yeah.
Stop doing this. Start doing this. You see, and that's how you can operate.
You know, a lot of people don't really know how to actually even listen to their body or even their own mind or their own intuition, right? I mean, I think we've all experienced a hard time or a mental crossroads where you don't even know how to make that decision. So how do you get better at that? How do you get more into that? How do you develop a healthier mind that's more capable of recognizing that?
So for me, I look at it this way. I have 5 rules for my life when it comes to healthy mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 1 rule is do not fear. That doesn't mean that there cannot be frightening situation, in traffic or whatever. But I'm talking about chronic fear, moving through life. You see, because when you fear something or somebody, you're giving all the power to that something, right, or that someone, and you're essentially making that person, situation, or whatever it is, you're making in your God.
Yeah.
And you're letting that thing control you. So if you cannot sleep because of fear,
Yeah.
your heart is going to stop. I mean, it's going to affect definitely your health.
Yeah.
The second rule for me is don't be angry. That doesn't mean I cannot burst. I drive. I'm a spirited driver, let's say, on the road. Somebody cuts me off. There's a burst of whatever, adrenaline just starts rushing and you want to be angry, right?
Yeah.
But you got to calm yourself down and never let your mind dwell on anger.
Right.
Don't go to bed angry.
Yeah.
You see. So
Like find a way to resolve your anger internally.
that's right. So you got to resolve it, because if you dwell on anger, and there are lots of people who dwell for their whole lives on anger about something that happened to them in childhood or relationships or anything like that. I meant lots of people in my practice, both as a financial advisor and advising people on life and stuff like that. People that for their life, like people in their 50s, they're still angry with their father who died 25 years ago, because of the relationship that they had, and they didn't let that anger go. See, what happens exactly, like if you're angry, if you dwell on that anger, you're making, again, the object of your anger, your God.
Yeah.
Because the object of your anger dictates your behavior.
Right.
So whatever dictates your behavior is your God.
Right. Yeah. You see.
So if anger dictates your behavior, that one who's the object of your anger, or that thing that's object of your anger is dictating your behavior, becomes your God.
Yeah.
So when it comes to political involvement, your God is more the opposite side for people who are angry.
It's true.
Than the side you see that you want to be on.
Yeah.
Because it's the opposite side that often feeds that anger and dictates the behavior.
You can't focus. Can't focus at all.
Exactly.
No, it's like, you know, when you're getting in a fight of some sort, or some sort of quarrel or bad conversation with somebody, is tunnel vision. Exactly. Can't see in your peripherals at all. It's just focus, this pin. Like,
You're not clear-headed. Yeah.
you're not clear-headed. So not even in the physical sense are you completely unaware of all the other things that might be going on around you. You can't see the nice things. You can't see opportunity. You can't see whatever's coming for you or whatever. But what do you think it does for your, let's say, metaphysical subconscious?
Yeah.
What does it do for your
Well, pure adults but they literally do, because that is literally the concept of fight or flight. Fight, anger, flight, fear. So it physically affects you.
Exactly.
Both of those emotions are very visceral. They're very physical.
They feel, but that's right. You can feel the hormones rushing. Yeah. Be it adrenaline or whatever it is you see.
And you don't have natural control. Your instincts, your flesh is literally taking over.
So calming your mind is the key. And that's where my third rule comes into it as well. It ties to the other two. Never judge situation by its current state. You see, is the people in antiquity, philosophers would say, Pantavre, everything flows. Everything changes. What is right now is not going to be tomorrow.
It's like that Chinese proverb. Is it Chinese? Then maybe with a farmer. You know the one with the farmer?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Let's remind me.
It's kind of the one where a bunch of things happen to him, good and bad, and he's like, we'll see.
Yeah, my son fell off the horse and broke his arm. This is so terrible.
And everybody's saying it's so bad for your son, your poor son.
The next day, Ari comes to conscript.
Archie comes to conscripts everybody other than his son who had a broken arm, leg, whatever it was, collarbone.
But he's celebrating, saying, this is great. This is so good for your son.
For you. We don't know. We will see.
We'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. So everything starts actually, he lost a horse, right?
It was something like that.
That's right. He lost a horse and everybody's, oh, this is terrible. Yeah. Then the horse comes back with more horses, right? So everybody's celebrating with him. He's like, no,
we'll see. Oh, this is bad. It's rides a new horse, breaks his leg on the new horse, right?
Yeah. Oh, this is bad. This horse was just a bad thing, right?
Yeah. But it's always wise, regardless, to just not judge.
Don't judge situation by its current state.
Good or bad.
It is.
Good or bad.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
You know, enjoying the present, even if it's bad, not that it's going to change and it's going to be good.
And if it's good,
enjoy
while it's
enjoy while it's good. Like enjoy from that perspective. And you know what? Don't fret about what's gonna happen next. No, just enjoy that it's good while it's good.
And if situation turns, it's gonna turn again.
Exactly. It's gonna turn again. So that's my third one. Don't judge situation by its current state.
Yeah.
The fourth rule for me is do not rush into anything, making decisions. There is kind of like an old saying, I don't know who figured it out. I always think it was me, you know, but it wasn't probably.
I probably.
So you get the chicken by hatching the egg, not by smashing.
Yeah.
Right? Don't rush into anything. When I look at my business decisions in the past, the worst decisions were where I rushed into things thinking that this wonderful opportunity that's in front of me is the only time it's going to happen. No.
I mean, people frequently talk about that in investments. Don't rush into your decisions. Don't make impulse buys, right?
Yeah.
Don't impulse sell either.
Exactly.
Right? Don't sell out of, as they say, anger, fear, judgment. None of those as well, right?
That's right.
So to have a clear mind, you always have to assess your state. Are you in fear? Are you in angers?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Slow it down.
And you see, if you're going back to our metaphysical conversation, You see, if you truly believe that the metaphysical is above the physical and that you can affect the metaphysical and that the metaphysical has supremacy over the physical, where metaphysical is going to affect the physical in the way that you're affected metaphysical with your mind, meditation, whatever it is, then why rush? Whatever you set on your mind that you want to create in the physical realm in this world,
It'll happen.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, oh, this is the only opportunity. You need to recognize it.
Yeah.
And every opportunity is out. But that's the key, recognizing. Not being nudged or pushed by other people where they're rushing you, this is the only time, now or never. No, you will know and you will feel it.
Yeah.
Where it's now. Not now or never. Where it's now.
Yeah.
You see.
To determine and establish your own time.
That's right. It comes with peace.
Right. Yes.
It comes with peace.
Yeah.
And that's the key. I can make this decision and I can make it peacefully and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Even if it's a scary decision,
Even if it's a scary decision.
big scary decisions, you still got to somehow feel at peace. There's got to be a part of you that's
You got to be at peace. I remember many years ago when there was a huge real estate boom here and everybody was rushing buy. I remember my friends telling me, okay, it's time for you to buy land, to build a house or buy a house because the prices are going to go through the roof. Yeah. My response back then was, no rush. Everything in its right time for me.
Yeah.
Not right time for the economy.
Yeah.
Not right time for the environment.
Yeah.
Right time for me.
Yeah.
When I'm ready, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
But only when I'm ready.
Yeah.
And it'll present itself to you when you are ready.
And you know how many people is that part? People in those situations, it doesn't have to be the real estate market, but where people might make a decision out of the fear of missing out, right? Like you get FOMO, right? And how many times a person will have unfortunate results because of that decision, right? So like, for instance, oh, you need to buy a house or land. And it's going to expand, like, the value is going to skyrocket. It's like, well, what if you get saddled with that? What about property taxes on that?
That's right.
So what seemed like a blessing, hey, I got this lot for cheap, might now become a curse for a certain person in their certain situation, or they might not ever be able to sell it, or the market starts dipping further. Yeah. Right? So you always have to be at peace with it as opposed to just, hey, I'm doing this because everybody else is doing it. Exactly. I'm jumping on this trend because it's a trend, and if I don't, I'll be the loser.
That's right. And that's the herd mentality. Yes. And you want to shed the herd mentality off your mind.
Yeah.
You see, you don't want to be a follower. You want to be a free thinker. That's the key. And that's why, like my fifth kind of rule in life is never allow other people to pity you.
Yeah.
See, other people's opinion is important. Don't get me wrong, but never allow people to pity. I remember the past some business ventures that didn't go well, and they failed, and failed as people would perceive it. And they, I would tell people, well, sometimes you win, and they would finish the sentence for me. Sometimes you win, yeah, and sometimes you lose. I said, no. Sometimes you win, and then they jump in that. Sometimes you learn. I said, no. So what is it? Sometimes you win, and sometimes you just win later.
Yeah.
That's the attitude to have.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I always win.
Yeah.
And with that way, you don't allow to pity. Why? Because, people talk about the law of attraction and how minds and everything else create things.
But it's a feedback loop of placebo, right?
Exactly. But you see what happens is if my mind creates the reality, if I can attract whatever I want to attract with the law of attraction, and you can attract whatever you want to attract, and you can attract whatever you want to attract.
Including bad things for other people.
Bad things for other people, you see. That means if people pity me, what they're attracting to me is those situations that are pitiful in my life.
Yeah.
I don't want people to attract in my life pitiful things.
And to associate you with failure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you win later.
Yeah.
You always win. no matter what, if you want to look at it that way. There could be potential dip. That's not a loss. It's just win later.
Yeah.
So winning is delayed, but you always win. And that's my attitude, because I don't want to allow anybody ever to pity me. There's no reason to pity me.
Yeah.
Why would I be pitiful?
Yeah.
If you will. I'm not, right? You're not. Don't allow people to pity you. They create your reality.
Yeah.
So that's...
Well, because, and you know, to anybody listening who's like, well, that sounds like a bunch of hodgepodge, like people manifesting. So that sounds real new agey. But it's like, think about it even more simply. Is you tell somebody something bad happened to you, right? Yeah. People are going to keep revisiting that with you. They're going to say, hey man, I feel so sorry. How are you feeling about that? You're feeling bad still, right? Like, this is not so good. You don't look so healthy.
Probably Curtis.
So they keep cursing you over and over again until you've uncursed yourself first. Told them, stop talking to me like that. I'm healthy. I'm fine. This didn't affect me. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, okay. You're a winner, I guess, in this situation. And the things they start putting in your own ear, in your own mind, that affect your own body, let's even just think very physically. Just your body, your mind, your health. Those things, when you start changing the tone of it, like, yeah, no, I'm recovering.
Exactly.
I'm recovered. People start looking at you that way too.
That's right.
And you start being that way, because there's nothing negative being put out from anybody anymore about the way you exist, right?
I mean, if you need help, like, of course,
let people know. Ask for help.
If you truly feel that you need it.
But asking for help doesn't mean you're in defeat.
No.
Asking for help means you're asking for help, right? And it's a
Fine to ask help for in this world, ask for help.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest wars were won by people asking their allies for help.
If you look at asking for help, that's almost a sign of, hey,
I'm still going.
I'm still fighting.
I'm still fighting. I just need a little back.
I need to get out of this, and that's my utmost desire. So if I need a few others to like,
Give me a hand.
yeah,
That's right. But I'm not rolling over.
getting it done. Getting it done. You know, so there is a fine balance between the side of battle and
Yeah, absolutely. You should ask for help, but solely for the purpose, not for pity. And also, you get upset about you, but legitimately so that you can beat whatever or get over whatever adversity you're facing right now. It's literally, I need a boost. Give me a hand over this fence. I see a big fence. I'm trying to climb over it. Yeah. It's not like I'm going to turn around and walk around and call defeat. I'm just going home. It's help me over this fence.
the problem with pity is that it rarely is assistance. Pity is almost like
It's a literal curse.
Yeah, like I'm cursing you. You're in a bad situation, and now I'm going to make you believe that you're in a bad situation.
And I'll continue perpetuating
it, and I'm going to keep telling you that you should behave how bad of a situation.
Because people enjoy the feeling of, being nurtured, they care for, and, they're paying attention to me. And that's going back to our previous part of the conversation about the relationships, you see.
Yeah.
Because if you have true relationships where people can advise you, if you're surrounded by people who are wise, who understand things, you see, then there is no reason for pity.
Yeah.
You ask for advice, you ask for help, you ask for direction.
Yeah.
That's not asking for pity. That's asking for direction. I'm here. I don't want to be here. Don't look at me as I'm here.
Yeah.
How do I get out of here? How do I make the best out of my situation?
Yeah.
You see, I remember for me, one of my probably biggest failures when it comes to business, don't want to call it failure. I actually want to call it, one of the situations where I did not win.
A learning experience.
Or you were yet to where I was yet to win, right? Actually, it took me a few weeks of a daily meditation, going for walks and meditating and praying to reprogram my mind. Because there was an overwhelming sense of I didn't win.
Yeah.
You see, of failure, actually.
Or I'm going to lose.
I'm going to lose, you see.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly and very carefully using here failure, like the sense of failure, where I had to reprogram my mind, saying that this is not a failure.
Yeah.
This is just win later situations.
Despite it being
I know that's it, but feels like you have no idea.
There's no way out of here, right?
It is presented as completely impossible.
That's right. So it looks like failure. You're in it like a failure until you reprogram your mind.
Yeah. And it's suddenly magic somehow.
Magic. So it took me about 3 weeks to reprogram my mind. So it was a journey. It was discipline every single day. Going out, -30, going for walks, praying, meditating, reprogramming my mind, repeating to myself, I am a winner. Not I'm not a loser. I am a winner. You see, you don't reinforce the negative aspect. You always reinforce the positive aspect. You see, and once the subconscious mind and body started actually accepting the fact that I'm a winner,
Yeah.
I started walking more straight up, right? Like, and there was no hunch because at first there's a hunch. It's
Why would anybody have any reason to perceive you negative?
exactly, and then you just start in your further endeavors, right? And within 5-6 months, that situation was far behind.
Yeah.
You see, I was back on my feet. Life was completely normal within 5-6 months.
Yeah.
Completely normal. Yes, I had certain issues to deal with and stuff like that. But now you're dealing from the situation of a winner. A person who has everything under control.
Well, what it sounds like is that it's not even that you shouldn't allow others to pity you. It sounds like you shouldn't allow pity in your life, period.
Period. Including
From yourself.
from yourself towards other people. That's right.
From yourself to yourself.
And I think that kind of ties into back into kind of talking about relationships. You probably should avoid surrounding yourself by people who, when provided advice, decide to trade it in for pity instead.
Right.
Don't surround yourself with people who decline advice in favor for pity. And because
You know what I think
again,
about?
a vicious cycle. You can't be with people who have no aspirations to beat whatever problems they're facing.
Well, you know what I like about our relationship as well. I don't feel we ever come to one another with some sort of sob story. But if there is help or assistance to be had, it's through being relatable. Right, I need help. Okay, I've been in this situation 10 years ago, or at least a similar enough situation. Here's what I learned. You might learn in a different way. It's your own journey. You go on your own path and see what you figure out. But here's at least how I went about it. Here's what I did wrong. Here's what I did right. But I can relate to you. You're up. You're understood. And I'm not going to look down on you for that. I've been through the same thing.
Exactly.
Right? In maybe a different way, something like that. And I feel like those are really the friends that are worth keeping around.
Yeah.
Those are the types of people you do want in your life, not the ones that are just going to give you some, oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
No.
But you see, Haiti is actually very strongly associated with judgment, right? So relatability comes from being non-judgmental, looking at a situation and a person and how they treated the situation from the perspective of this is what it is. How do we navigate it? Yeah, right. This is who you are. This is who the situation is. This is how you fit into the situation. But I'm not judging you for what decision you made or how you try going about it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help you from where we are now. No turning back, no nothing.
Yeah.
What's the best path forward?
Yeah.
No, but totally. I feel that's absolutely what makes a good friend or a good family member, a good relationship is even if you can't relate, if you can't do this on your own, let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you really feel? Do you really feel like there's some sort of impending doom, looming over you? Do you really feel that way? Oh, well, that's always a question. With Nick, like my best friend Nick, every time even I bring up something or he brings up something that's kind of like bothering us, the first question is always, is that really bothering you? Oof, dude, that always really gets you to rethink what you just said. Like, it can try up some sort of thing. Is that something that's stressing you out? Are you bothered by that? And man, next time you face some sort of situation where it's
You ask yourself that question.
are you really bothered by this?
Yeah.
Is this really something where you
The outcomes have been different than just feeling.
then just feel
Right. Because feeling is more intense than thinking, oh, I'm angry at this.
So there's like guys and goes a lot of the way back to the don't fear, don't be angry, don't judge, and don't rush. Because
That's right.
usually people, and of course I'm subject to that, I'm human, I sometimes rush to a conclusion about my own feelings.
Yeah.
But then when you ask yourself, hey, does this really bother you?
Yeah.
Is this going to bother you tomorrow?
Yeah.
Is this going to bother you in 10 minutes? With the answer is usually, this doesn't actually bother me. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah. And it's really funny how quickly your mindset changes when you ask yourself about the state of your feelings.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Is, as you mentioned, will this upset me in 10 minutes from now? So you have an altercation with somebody on the street, and you, even in the moment, if you have the ability, let's say if you happen to be some of the people who have an internal monologue, if you can ask yourself before opening your mouth or engaging further, does this bother me? Will this interaction, what this person said,
Worth even getting into it, and any time reflecting on.
or how can I avoid the negative effects of fear, anger, judgment, and pity?
Yeah.
How can I minimize the effects of that in this interaction just by asking myself, do I feel any of these in this situation? And is it worth feeling this way for a prolonged period of time? More than a minute, more than a second, more than a moment. And more often than not, your answer is going to be no, it's not worth.
That's right. Paying my
Anyways, when you calm your mind, as we're talking about with these that you remember these 5 steps of, hey, let's not be angry, let's not be afraid here, and let's not rush to make any decision conclusion.
Exactly.
But you know what? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is yes, this is stressing me out. Yeah, this is bothering me. But in that sense, that's when you figure it out.
Yeah.
Then you figure it
Then you feel
Well, if it truly bothers, that means that there is something you can do about it.
exactly.
And listen,
More often than not,
If you can do something about it, the next step is figuring out the steps actually to have it done. And that's the key, you see. But saying all this, it's about keeping your mind healthy, you see. Where feelings have their place, where reason has its place, you see. And there's place for both. And everything needs to be interpreted. People just don't like to interpret things to themselves.
Yeah.
And that's going back to the things, about the hidden things and finding the hidden things. And feelings and reactions are the hidden things of, you see, that need interpreting, that need to be translated from, it feels here to what it is here.
Yeah.
And only when the feeling is translated into thoughts, then you can reasonably deal with it.
Exactly.
And solve the situation, as you see. But until then, they're just the feelings. But you see, it goes the other way around to convert your thoughts into the feelings. That's right. And that's what helps actually with health. You see, and that's what helps with the happiness as well.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the conversion goes both ways, you see. When negative feelings, you interpret them into your mind into thoughts to resolve them. Positive feelings, convert them into the feelings to feed the health in your body. And that's what brings true happiness. The Greek philosopher Thales, he posed a very cool question. What man is a happy man? And his answer was very simple. He who has a healthy body, a resourceful mind, and a docile nature. You see, so healthy body, resourceful mind, and a docile nature.
And this is what makes a happy.
That's what makes a happy man, according to Thales.
Yeah.
Think about it, who lived like 2,500, 3,000 years ago, right?
Happiness is like the ultimate.
It is. And if you think about it, is that those 3 qualities will prevent you from getting in conflict.
That's right.
With others and with yourself, with the world, with anybody, right? Is that having those 3 qualities will ensure lack of conflict.
Yeah.
And as a result, you can lead a happy life if there's no conflict.
That's right. And you see what's interesting is docile mind does not mean lack of warrior spirit.
Absolutely.
Because warrior spirit is very important.
But it's intent and approach that changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And docile mind essentially would be a person who can control fully their feelings.
Yeah.
You see.
Well, the docile nature. I mean, when I think docile nature, I think
Docile nature, I meant, yeah.
all good. Literally of all those 5 points that you brought. If I think of a person of docile nature, that's totally somebody slow to anger, that doesn't fear,
Yes.
that doesn't judge situations by their, their current state, right? And that doesn't allow anybody to pity them. And,
Yes. So that is a person that tamed their nature.
Yeah, exactly. If you,
In essence,
yeah,
it's tamed. But beast is still a beast from that perspective. It's a warrior that's inside, but it is tamed.
But docile nature even could be summed up just into they seek peace. Whatever it is, the resolution always has to end in peace. That's it.
even if it's like a negative outcome, hey, you know what? Let's just at least make peace with this.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if there's some sort of physical turmoil at mind, what am I going to do?
What are you going to do?
Right. Yeah.
So you need to have the resolution at peace.
Yeah, totally. Try to transform this into something. Yeah. So that's what makes a happy man, eh?
Yeah.
So that brings to question then. So what was it again? Healthy body, resourceful.
So healthy body, resourceful mind,
Yeah.
and docile nature.
So we touched quite a bit on what it means to have a healthy mind and docile nature, but clearly the number one thing here was a healthy body. So how does the whole thing play into the rest of this?
Well,
Number one, so what makes a healthy body?
well, I would say the healthy body is a body with strong immunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sickness.
No sickness or anything like that, right? Physically fit body.
Yeah.
Like, so physical fitness is very important part. And then when you think about good hygiene and outward appearance,
Yeah.
Right.
you see, so
How you dress it.
how you dress and top with back, that's healthy body.
Yeah.
You see, because people often associate, health only with the physical health. If you don't have arthritis or cardiovascular issues, right? You're healthy. No. There is way more to health than just not having aches and pains.
Yeah.
You see, when it comes to physical fitness, so beside the immunity that removes aches and pains and stuff like that, physical fitness, often in fitness communities, there is a focus on, and people fight about that. Should you work on your endurance or should you work on your strength? There are two parts. I see four parts that are extremely important. So physical strength is very important. Endurance is very important. I mean, I'm almost 50. And as a runner, I love running, and I believe running is extremely important, you see. But there's flexibility and there's mobility. So there are lots of runners and lots of strong men, women as well, that are neither flexible nor mobile.
So what would you show? What makes a mobile person?
Mobile person is that can move their body completely. You see, that their back is not stiff. You see?
Yeah.
That it's not just, if it, that's the aches or chaos, right? That's, you're capable, aches and pains. Can you tie your shoes?
Yeah.
Can you put your socks on without you sitting down?
If you were tasked by jumping onto a box, could you do
Can
it?
you jump on the box?
Man, I know lots of
People, he can't do that.
jacked
Yeah.
big guys that just can't.
Can you do a somersault? Can you do a backflip?
Yeah.
You see.
I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you see, those things are the very important parts when it comes to the body. Because, you see, when it comes to strength and endurance, in particular, most of the exercises are just on a single axis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, you see. There are lots of strong people, what you mentioned, they don't have full shoulder mobility, or lots of, let's say, endurance runners who are in aches and pains and don't have strength for anything else.
Well, man, that was always something that was very, very clear, at least you and I know for a fact from you, courtesy of just how we were raised, but being from a volleyball background, man, like being super jacked or anything was never our goal. No, it was being as evolved as we can be to be perfectly suited for that sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Which means it is lots of
You
jumping.
can jump, you can dive, you can swing, all of that. Keep in mind, interests might be a bit different now, but with that being ingrained in us now, That's always the focus, that you're flexible, that you can move, adjust, stretch, all that kind of stuff, but also be eased.
Forceful. Yeah.
Well, I think about it. I think all three of us are into grappling.
Yeah.
I think grappling, overall grappling, so not particular BJJ or wrestling or judo or anything,
Just as a very general.
as a general, will give you mobility, will give you flexibility, will develop your strength and endurance.
Yeah.
So it's grappling, all variations of grappling are great sports to be involved in for the overall body, both recreationally and professionally.
Yeah.
You see, and there is no problem. Some people go to competitions, let's say grappling competitions. No, just go train.
Yeah.
Spar, wrestle with other people. It's gonna provide that mobility. Like in our club, there are people who are late 60s, 70s that are still in the sport. You see,
Yeah.
and that's what keeps them energetic and
There's so much that goes into grappling. Yeah, at least BJJ. Like, I can't speak too confidently on the other ones, just as an experience.
Yeah. We have yet to dabble.
But man, with jiu-jitsu, you develop your relationships, you're getting healthier as well. It's a good use of your time, as you're saying, but it's a great community to be in.
right.
Though it's a great place to calm your mind as well, to get into that state and feel in touch with your body, your spirits. all that.
Exactly. And saying all this, good hygiene and outward appearance are the key as well.
Well, lucid dream, if there's anything that's going to get you to consider your own personal hygiene, it's JJ.
It is, yeah.
That's right. It's including dietary the guy eats.
All it takes is one roll of the guy that loves eating onions.
That loves eating onions, and you realize, holy goodness, does this guy's diet make this guy rich?
That's right. And as physical hygiene, there's hygiene, and yes, the body and cleanliness.
Everything you put in your body and that you do, it does outwardly reflect.
You get a hairy foot in your face or something that's excessively sweaty.
Yeah, there's a reason for the old saying, cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah.
You see, and it's true. In many cases, actually, hygienic practices stopped illnesses.
Yeah.
Like historically, you can look through the Black Plague and all those things, that were going on. Many of those things came about because of the lack of hygiene.
Yeah.
Once the hygiene was stressed and addressed, that's when the changes.
And I think, especially in today's world, it's worth noting that your hygiene is very tightly correlated to your diet. There's a dietary hygiene. That if you're eating unclean foods, people are going to know pretty dang quickly. The moment you start letting off a little bit of sweat, you put a little bit of a faster paced walk, you put a little bit.
And we're not talking about religiously clean and unclean foods.
No, of course, no. But it's worth noting that there's a dietary hygiene that ensures your health and that ensures your outward appearance, your smell, your perceived hygiene is intact, right?
Literally in that physical sense. Literally what you put in your body outwardly expresses. It does.
Oh yeah, it does.
But it's the same case we had this conversation in terms of mind and outward reflection. Why does outward appearance matter? Why does what you wear matter? Why does it matter if you smell good, look good, if you're kept nicely? Not only are you representing yourself as best as you can, because I think some of even the less genetically favored people would notice some serious difference in their appearance if they just took care of themselves better.
Exactly.
Whether it's in a fitness sense, whether it's in a, who knows, hygienic sense or more dietary sense. But in the mental sense,
That's one of the first places.
one of the first places where you really start to see an outward reflection.
Yeah.
You can tell if a person's not doing good. It outwardly reflects their inner thinking and all that. Is that their mind is in turmoil.
And hey, don't get me wrong. Our setting, especially for a young guy like myself, you, me, Milan, we did lead to a high degree, especially after we moved here specifically, a privileged lifestyle, one that I'm grateful for and one that I want to acknowledge. But it's a good thing for me. I don't, let it privilege. It's good.
No,
But
you just have to acknowledge it.
But what I want to note very specifically is that none of us here are blowing money on clothing or anything like that, nor should somebody, in my personal opinion. It's about having decorum, being put together. But it's crazy how far that goes to lending to other people's perception of yourself, and how it ties into the concept of pity, but the inverse even, is certain ways that you present yourself, very specifically visually, can lead a person to pity you or to revere you. And that plays again into how things manifest for you, if you will.
What are you attracting?
What are you attracting into your life? So I've noticed for myself, like, I mean, my outfit right now, costs considerably less than $100, But I would say that I feel put together. I know that my demeanor is put together. I know I'm put together. And I've had people regularly come up to me, no matter how expensive the clothing I'm wearing is, just because I decide to take care of myself. They're like, I know you're rich. And I'm like,
yeah, totally.
but my bank account doesn't say, I don't say this to them. But it's like, even if I know in my head, hey, my bank account might not reflect always what it is. Hey, it's a little slow right now. It doesn't matter. People are manifesting because they know you're rich. They look at you and they're like, this guy's rich. And it's not pretending. It's knowing who you are and making sure you're put together for yourself. Are you put together to other people for yourself, right? And people have very different styles. Us three. Yeah, between us three have different styles. But there's a standard of put together that is shown between the three of us, right?
Man, I know some crazy, funky characters when it comes to what they wear.
They're very, very different, but put together, right? And you look at them and you'd say, no matter where they found this clothing, you're put together, and I know you have good intentions for yourself, first and foremost. And that good things are coming your way because you have good intentions.
You have an idea of yourself, and you want to show that as accurately as possible.
Yeah.
Right? I think for you, your idea of yourself is you're a gentleman, you're clean, and you want to be presentable, and you want to be approachable and trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that outwardly reflects is...
yeah, and I choose clothing that I like too. It's not just, I have this idea in mind. I know there's a lot of people online who are proponents of, hey, you should get a 3-piece suit and wear this, or you need to be driving a Lambo by 20. None of that applies. What applies is, are you put together for yourself to ensure that nobody is judging you in a way that you should not be judged?
Yeah.
You want people to attribute positive judgment for you based on what you're seeking in the world. So if you are seeking to be thoroughly wealthy in all ways, how are you manifesting your physical representation to ensure other people are manifesting simultaneously for you? I know that there's many people on the streets that whether they actively think of me or not, I might come into their minds, but they'll have words and associations, and the way they talk about me to other people is going to be the words and associations, and that's repeated over and over to create this persona.
Yeah.
One that you want, right? Create your persona, if you will.
So, that's right. Yeah. And when you think about, so all these things, that we're talking about, like when it comes to health, so there's the physical health, mental health, there's the hygienic or outward appearance, which is an aspect of health that puts everything together. Yeah. Like puts together physical health, like monetary health, if you will. You see, you take all those aspects, and only then if you put money into it.
Oof, it's just enhanced.
You see, that's what enhances life. You see, that's what creates true freedom.
Yeah.
You see, so when you have time, when you have great relationships, when you have health, money comes on top of that.
Yeah.
To create true rich experiences in life. And when you have them all together, so creating your life, I always said in business, and you boys heard that from me many times, I don't want to adjust my lifestyle to my business. I want to adjust my business to my lifestyle. Because business is not all in all, and it's not even about balance, it's about harmony.
Right.
Yeah. All things need to work in harmony. Balance and harmony are not the same thing. There's a need for crescendo sometimes. So sometimes more focus is on money, There's a need for string instruments, you know, but that could be health, more focused on health.
Offensive part of the song you're in.
Exactly. And that's how life flows. But you need all those aspects to
create
There you go. But hey, you don't have, when people mix things, whether it be in bartending, cooking, music, when people mix things together, it's so that creates a harmonious output, not a balanced output. Balanced is not always that fixed. So although there is it's important to have moderation, and as I suppose where balance comes in. You don't want to be working 16 hours a day every day.
no. But there's a time for 16-hour days.
There are times for that, especially as an entrepreneur. There are times for that, right?
But gotta make sure that it's harmonious.
Exactly.
Because crescendo could be only a few times in the song. If it's constantly crescendo, then you just get noise. Yeah. That's what sometimes those 16-hour days, they end up being lifelong 16-hour days. Just drum and bass. It's just like crescendo, right? But I think, boys, we can wrap up here, and we'll continue next time and do our second episode pretty soon.
Sounds good.
Let's get a little wealthier.
Do it.
Yeah, and then we'll focus a little more on wealth aspects and some business planning.
Ooh, I wonder if I can. No, hold on. It's always the anti-manifesting. There we go.
That was a bit on here.
Yeah, what's going on?